Hi everyone, today we're going to discuss cobalt chromium denture design with Nikhil. I asked Nikhil to actually design a cobalt chrome for me in the tutorial, and he's going to talk you through what he's done and how he designed it. He's actually been reading this book, which is it's a BDJ series. It's a very old book, but it's really effective. So Nikhil, can you just talk me through what you're going to do and how you going to design this denture?
Firstly, thank you for letting me borrow the book. The book is really good and insightful. So the first thing that you do is you identify the Kennedy classification. So you know this model is a Kennedy class 3 mod 2, and then you identify the saddle areas on your denture design sheet of paper. So you know the teeth that you're going to replace here on the upper right 2 and 3, so you circle them, and that's similar on the other side. And then the last tooth on the upper right 6. So you've got your saddle areas. The next thing that you need to do, I've got this crib sheet that I made. It identifies the steps that you need to follow when designing a denture. So the next stage is your support. Because this is a cobalt chrome, you have to put some rest seats in. So either side of the abutment area, so a rest seat here, a rest seat here.
What does the support do?
So it's resistance to vertical forces directed towards the mucosa. So it directs forces during function down through the periodontal ligament, so you get less force on the mucosa.
So down the long axis of the tooth, yeah? Okay, that's
you
good.
Put one rest seat here.
Okay.
Some rest seats here, singular rest seats on the ones. And then either side of the abutment teeth. And then I think I'm going to put some rest seats here.
What's the rationale behind putting rest seats there?
Because we didn't want them to put them too anteriorly, because then they might be in the smile line and it wouldn't be aesthetic for a patient, especially if they're a young patient and they have a high smile line. Okay.
Alright, so what's the next step?
Then you look at retention.
Okay, so what is retention?
So the 3 things that make up retention in denture design cases is clasp, but you've also got physical forces such as the musculature and the saliva. So in this case we're going to clasp some of the teeth. We're going to put some occlusively poaching clasp on the 7, and then
Can I just stop you at this moment? So I think we need to tell the listeners that at this stage, Nikhil has taken primary impressions of the patient's teeth. He has actually asked the technician to survey the model, and once you survey the model, you can identify your undercuts, your guide planes, and points where you could put your clasps. And what the technician has nicely done has actually blocked off the undercut. So if the camera comes close, you can pick up where all the white plaster's been placed, where the undercuts have been blocked, and also where the survey lines are, where the clasps can potentially be placed. Okay, so then the technician has sent back this cast to Nikhil, has sent back some special trays to take impressions in, and has also sent a sheet for denture design. So Nikhil, being very organized, 2 days before the patient arrives, has actually looked at his model and has designed a denture, and he's going to talk you through what the denture design is, which is he's halfway through it now. So when the patient comes and is sitting in the chair, you don't really need to faff around with denture designing, because your denture design is there and you can go straight into prepping the teeth before taking the secondary impressions. Okay, so we've now got to retention phase. So the retention is provided by
clasp on. So we've got the upper left 7, you've got an occlusively approaching clasp, and the upper right 5, there's a gingerly approaching clasp.
Why did you put the gingival approaching clasp on the upper right 5, which is this one?
You could
upper left 5.
You could put an occlusively approaching one. I just did that out of preference because I prefer using gingerly approaching clasp.
And because it's in the smile line, isn't it? Yeah. So it probably will show less if it's gingival approaching. Yep, good point. And then
on the contralateral side, you need a clasp here on the 6.
And why are you putting that clasp there?
I could have put it more anteriorly, but once again, it could have been in the smile line, and I didn't want that to be the case, and the patient requested that.
Okay, not to show that. Okay, so you've done retention. Now we're going to talk about reciprocation. Can you tell us what it means?
So with retention and class, you always need reciprocation to prevent damage to the tooth in terms of function during horizontal movement.
Okay.
So on the clasp arms, you need a reciprocating arm. And all of them here. You could put a plate, but it's larger than a reciprocating arm.
Yeah.
Makes it more likely to get plaque and therefore periodontal.
So you're covering too much tooth, so it's better to just put an arm. Okay, perfect. And then after you've done reciprocation, what else are you thinking of? Bracing?
So bracing, so that could be, because it's a bounded saddle, you've got your abutment teeth, but also you've got the design for a plate. So if I draw a plate, I want it to go like a horseshoe shape.
Why horseshoe?
I don't want to cover the palate so it's easily cleansable. It's just easier to clean.
What else can you do apart from horseshoe?
A
fenestrator or a window, which is sort of still keeping the palate open. Okay, and what are you doing now?
Just keeping it gingerly free here.
Okay, very good.
And then
okay, and so now you want to talk about the indirect retention. Do you need indirect retention for this Kennedy classification 3 mod 2?
You need indirect retention for posterior free-ended saddles. In this case it's a bounded saddle, but you can get some indirect retention from the cingulum rest, but you'd usually use it for free-ended saddles.
Okay, and what's your major connector?
A palatal plate.
Okay, good. So then you fill in your lab sheet. Yeah, can you just get your lab sheet? So you get it. So if you just get the lab sheet from the drawer. So while Nico's getting the lab sheet ready, bottom drawer, this is the denture design. Okay, so we have one ready, and this denture design has got everything which Nikhil actually drew on his sheet. So basically, it's got it is similar to what Nikhil actually drew and sent it to the lab. Okay, so now he's doing his lab sheet as well, and the lab sheet will be quite clearly written. So he would have had other bits written on it, but now he's going to write about his cobalt chrome framework because he wants to do a try-in for the framework first before he does a jaw edge. So he's writing all the instructions quite clearly. Obviously you won't forget to put your name, address and everything. You won't forget to disinfect impressions. So once he's written all this down, then he will be ready to take the impression for the secondary impression, Tanya. And the secondary impression can either be done in alginate or it can be done in silicon. It depends what type of tray we've requested. It depends how fast the technician can actually pick up the impression from our practice. You've done your design, Nikhil. You've actually written your lab sheet quite clearly. So what is the next stage to do?
So you send it off to the lab.
No, before that, what do? You prepare the rest seats.
So you need to prepare the rest seats.
So you prepare the rest seats. What's it called?
Enamelplasty.
Okay.
So you're shaping the enamel, but you need to make sure that you get consent from the patient because you are preparing the tooth structure.
So why do you have to shape the enamel? What are you doing?
So ideally, you're trying to shape the enamel to create so the metal wings can sit into the tooth structure. And the only way to do that is preparing the teeth. If you don't do that,
so you prepare the rest seat.
Yeah.
Do you know the dimension for the rest seat?
0.5, 0.2 to 0.5 millimeters.
So it's saucer shaped, okay, and it's all actually in this book written quite clearly, all the stages of denture design and what type of designs and impressions and everything. So I would really recommend this book to anyone who is actually not quite clear about denture designing. So again, it's a removable partial denture design, BDJ series, J.D. Walter. So then after the rest seats are prepared, then you take your secondary impressions, and the secondary impressions can be taken in a special tray. And what do you do to adjust your special tray?
So you can use green stick to extend it. If it's overextended, you need to reduce it using a fast handpiece and a trimming burr. So
Yeah, that's good. And I normally just put the adhesive in the tray at least about 8 to 10 minutes before you take the impression, so your impression doesn't pull out of the tray. I think we've covered quite a large amount. If any of you have problems, you can always message me. I'll be very happy to get back to you. Follow me at Dental Cosmetics SS. Thank you, Nikhil.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye.
Danielle.